Now, our latest story of the day is going to be based on some comments that Charles Hoskinson has made. This is the article. We're going to cover it right here. We're actually going to jump to the widescreen to cover this article today. Now, in a recent YouTube live stream, Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson declared that the economic order of the 20th century, as we know it, is officially dead. Now, what he means by the economic order of the 20th century is a centralized, hierarchical economy that he describes was built through a series of treaties arranged by a few great powers, and that this economy was built for the times when information was not instantaneous and when most people were willing to accept the dictates of Big Brother. Speaking about the recent global economic downturn, Hoskinson said that it was the conflicting interests of these hierarchical orders, such as governments, corporations, international organizations, that was at the root of the turmoil. In a world where a few powerful entities decide the fates of billions, centralized authorities no longer represent the world we are living in, and that this world that is becoming flat and decentralized. The new decentralized order introduced to us through blockchain technology is designed to solve some of the greatest challenges presented by modernity, such as data ownership, privacy, and identity. And in this new order, Hoskinson feels that there will be no need for CEOs or even presidents. According to him, the existing world order is coming apart at the seams before our very eyes, stating that what we are looking at right now is the unraveling of the economic order of the 20th century, winners and losers that had certain assumptions about how power should work, how money should work, how credit should work, how finance should work, how information needs to flow. And this economy was sustainable and stable when information was not instantaneous, and when it was totally acceptable to have empires, meaning one or two nation states being supreme above all others and establishing all the rules and regulations. Now, the idea that the old system was patching up the old economy with things like easy credit, which in the case of the United States led to a 5-fold increase in the national debt in less than 20 years, citing the case of Japan, where everything was staked on the oncoming Olympic Games, with officials and bureaucrats selling the idea of Tokyo 2020 as a way to kickstart the country's stagnating economy. But the global pandemic known as the Wu flu has now completely derailed the machinations of Japan's central planners, pointing to Italy, where an entire country is coming under quarantine. He believes this situation and others like it across Europe will lead to the election of a populist government and inevitably the demise of the European Union experiment, and that they would probably see an Italian version of Brexit coming soon. And could the European Union survive if Italy leaves? Perhaps France will be next. Now, after harping on the folly of international governments, Hoskinson hit the U.S. establishment, saying that our president and the opposition party could set their petty rivalries aside and say that it's for the good of our people. We could work together instead. What did they do? They looked at it like a political game and they said, hey, let's go ahead and see who could score the most points. A recession is bad for the incumbent president, so let's just make sure that that happens regardless. And meanwhile, the other side is ignoring the fact that we are entering into a pandemic and millions of people could die because they don't want the markets to collapse. Now, overall, his belief that the establishment paid no mind to the warnings of epidemiologists for decades now about a potential global pandemic that could kill 200 million people and collapse the global economy, it was one of the last priorities of this old world order. And he feels that citizens putting their faith in central authorities are going to be let down, and that we see a fundamental lack of integrity, and that people don't have faith that institutions can or will protect us or be able to address the problems of the 21st century. In a decentralized future that Hoskinson imagines, we no longer need central authority. We no longer need presidents, kings, governors, leaders, CEOs to get things done. Now, in terms of the crypto space, the idealistic Hoskinson reminds us that the industry is not about fast returns or the price of Bitcoin, but it is about disrupting the old way of doing things. It has everything to do with a global conversation about changing the way we do things, not just in institutions. It's not about whether to put the power in one or the other. It's about the need to remove overall power from institutions. Now, the decentralization movement is built on immutable rules that do not bend to whims, that do not care about politics, natural disasters, or the plague. These rules behave like the laws of physics, and because of their stability and universality, are fundamentally better to build civilization on. Now, the belief that people are fed up living in a society where old world institutions control their financial accounts, data, and identity leads to a narrative where individuals are primed and ready to take back control. and noting how the fastest growing browser right now on the planet is Brave, built on the foundations of a cryptocurrency, and how fast the current adoption rate and how more popular the browser may be than Google Chrome in 5 years. Now, this was all on a live stream, and toward the end of that stream, he addressed the crypto community with calming words, stating that the crypto industry is more resilient than traditional markets, which panic when they shed 10%, whilst the crypto space is used to collapses of 90%. And it is important to keep the big picture in mind and speak to just what this industry is building and how it will fundamentally change the way that societies operate. Despite some philosophical differences that he may have with rivals like EOS and Tezos, Hoskinson says that the industry as a whole is philosophically aligned with killing the middleman and building a better world for everybody. Now, there are a few points in there that I disagree with. Where I would disagree with that is the need for CEOs, right? I'm a strong belief in free market economy, and I think that decision-making is difficult. Managerial decisions are difficult. What I don't like, and where I absolutely agree with him, is the fundamental way that our systems are built around political machinations or innovations or intrigue or who's your friend or who does this or who has more money. None of those things should matter when it comes to freedom, voice, economic prosperity, or opportunity. Where I strongly agree with him is that the better, more rational, more fundamental way to build our societies, our rules, our laws, our ways of being around is immutable laws like the laws of physics and not the laws of man, which seem to change depending on how your mood is. You know, it's the same for you. Dads, I'm speaking to you. You guys know that the rules of the house and how you enforce them depend heavily on how you feel coming home from work, right? So what do you guys think? Is Charles Hoskinson an idealist, and that his notion of a fully decentralized world free from central authority or governments is completely unrealistic or even undesirable? Or do you fully embrace this idea of decentralization, an autonomous organization, distributed consensus models, and a libertarian model empowered by modern technology as the way forward for human civilization? So if Hoskinson is right, is the world order changing below our feet as we speak? Are people who are more conservative like myself wrong when we say that we're not going into a global recession? Are we seeing the cracks in the foundations right now? Are the cataclysmic financial and social events that we are experiencing right now the first signs of a dramatic shift in the existing world order? Is the current way that we do things just not able to sustain? The center does not hold, and things do fall apart. Do you think that crypto and decentralized technology can help put the pieces back together if we do see a more significant decline? And what would your time horizon be for this next page in our history as a species? Leave your comments and thoughts in the comments section down below. As always, I would love to hear them. This is probably one of the most exciting and interesting topics of our time, regardless of what side of the fence you stand on in politics, or regardless of how you feel about the issue. The idea that decentralized technology and blockchain technology will fully and fundamentally revolutionize the way that we do certain things moving forward is fairly unquestionable at this point in time. So if you haven't already, go buy some Bitcoin. Thank you. All right, so here